My name is Joshua Mugabi. I welcome you to Genetics Part 2. Bingo! So without wasting any of our time, let's go directly to our quiz. The qualities, characteristics, or traits an organism possesses as a result of receiving them from its parents or ancestor. A. Fingerprinting. B. Mutation. C. Inheritance. D. Genetics. And the answer is C. Inheritance. Small circular piece of DNA found in bacteria and yeast often contains genes bestowing drug resistance. A. Interons. B. Plasmid. C. Mutagen. D. Guanine. And the answer is B. Plasmid. Also known as junk genes. They are pieces of DNA that do not code for a protein and seem to have no function other than separate genes. A. Interons. B. Karyotype. C. Genome. D. Mutation. And the answer is A. Interons. Physical appearance of an individual as a result of interaction of the genotype with the environment. A. Genotype. B. Mutagen. C. Phenotype. D. Nucleic acid. And the answer is C. Phenotype. Diagram of chromosomes in a cell arranged in pairs and in order of size. A. Genotype. B. Karyotype. C. Gene theory. D. Karyogram. And the answer is D. Karyogram. Using transgenic farm animals in the production of pharmaceuticals, for example, sheep to produce factor VIII. A. Genetic screening. B. Farming. C. Gene theory. D. Genetic engineering. And the answer is B. Farming. Character or makeup of cell nucleus determined by the type of chromosomes present. A. Karyotype. B. Interons. C. Karyogram. D. Heredity. And the answer is A. Karyotype. Made up of 1. A phosphate group. 2. 1,5-carbon sugar that can be deoxyribose or ribose. 3. 1 nitrogen base, which can be adenine or cytosine or guanine, thiamine or uracil. A. Genetics. B. Nucleic acid. C. Nucleotide. D. Nitrogenous base. And the answer is C. Nucleotide. This states that during gamete formation, each member of a pair of genes may combine randomly with either of another pair. A. Mendel's second law. B. Genetic recombination. C. Mendel's first law. D. Genetic engineering. And the answer is A. Mendel's second law. Two types, RNA and DNA, long chains of nucleotides found in cytoplasm and the nucleus of all cells, plant and animal. A. Genetics. B. Nitrogenous base. C. Nucleic acid. D. Genome. And the answer is C. Nucleic acid. This states that characters are controlled by pair of genes that separate at gamete formation. Each gamete carries only one gene for the trait. At fertilization, the new organism will have 2 genes for each trait, one received from each parent. A. Genetics. B. Mendel's first law. C. Nucleic acid. D. Mendel's second law. And the answer is B. Mendel's first law. Nitrogen containing compound that forms nucleotides, which are the building blocks of DNA and RNA. 5 types: adenine, cytosine, guanine, thiamine, and uracil. A. Nitrogenous base. B. Nucleotides. C. Nucleic acid. D. Multiple alleles. And the answer is A. nitrogenous base. Genes located on the same chromosome that are not separated at gamete formation and are inherited together. Genes never separating seldom occurs. A. Hybrid. B. Inheritance. C. Linkage. D. Locus. And the answer is C. Linkage. Genes located on the same chromosomes that are not separated at gamete formation and are inherited together. Genes never separating seldomly occurs. A. Hybrid. B. Inheritance. C. Linkage. D. Locus. And the answer is C. Linkage. A spontaneous change in the sequence of nitrogenous base in a gene or a chromosome. A. Farming. B. Mutation. C. Linkage. D. Heredity. And the answer is B. Mutation. A substance or agent capable of causing or bringing about a mutation. For example, ultraviolet light, radiation, X-rays, and certain chemicals. A. Hybrid. B. Locus. C. Genome. D. Mutagen. And the answer is D. Mutagen. More than two forms of a gene controlling one trait. For example, in blood groups, there are 4 phenotypes: A, B, AB, and O, controlled by 3 genes, A, B, and O. A. Hybrid. B. Multiple alleles. C. Phenotype. D. Genotype. And the answer is B. Multiple allele. A type of ribonucleic acid found in the nucleus, 10%, and 90% in the cytoplasm. It carries the instructions for protein manufacture from the DNA in the nucleus to the ribosomes in the cytoplasm, where protein is made. A. Genome. B. Plasmid. C. Phenotype. D. Messenger RNA. And the answer is D. Messenger RNA. a genetic cross which examines the transmission of one trait, e.g., height, eye color, etc. A. Dihybrid cross. B. Monohybrid cross. C. Phenotype. D. Genome. And the answer is B. Monohybrid cross. DNA is found in other organelles of the cell apart from the nucleus. For example, mitochondrial DNA and chloroplast DNA. These organelles play no part in sexual reproduction, but are present in the female gametes. At fertilization, it is only the nucleus of the male gamete that fuses with the egg. All the mitochondrial DNA you possess, you got from your mother, and she got hers from her mother, and so on. As a result, there are very few different types of mitochondrial DNA. A. Dihybrid cross. B. Germ cell mutation. C. Phenotype. D. Nanonuclear inheritance. And the answer is D. Nanonuclear inheritance. Dear friends, thank you very much for participating in Genetics Part 2. Please do like, share, and subscribe. Thank you. I'm Joshua Mugabi. Bye-bye for now.